Hey guys, Break here, and after last video on the best gold making methods for 2019, I thought today I'd talk about the best professions for 2019, and I'll be ranking the professions in order from worst to best. Before we begin, these will just be on my opinion and from what I've seen in the gold making community and from myself. I do a lot of profession stuff, and I'll be talking about my experiences across my different servers, but it might not be the same for your server, so do your own research as well. And also I'm going to be taking into account the fact that the new raid is coming out, so the professions, some of them that aren't so good now, in a week or two when the raid is out, they might be better. So I'm going to be taking the raid into account in this video. So as you can probably see, my worst profession right now is Jewelcrafting. And I actually did a video back in Legion of how Blizzard were pretty much destroying Jewelcrafting. It was terrible, bloody blah. And I still think it's terrible. I just think it's really bad. No one makes any gold off the gems. What's the point? They're so easy to make. They're even worse than in Legion in terms of how you make them. They're just so simple to make, and that makes them really easy to do. And yeah, they might kind of have a bit of a comeback in the raid, obviously, because people need to gem their new gear. But realistically, I don't know anyone who's making big gold off Jewelcrafting right now. It's usually one of my favourite professions, but in BFA it's been one of my least favourite. And I mean, we look at the profits here. Weirdly, there is some profit to be made from the Kraken's Eye on my server. I don't know why that is. Maybe for a world quest or something it's been bumped up. But generally, you just lose a lot of gold on all of these crafts. And it's just not a good time. Now, one thing that Blizzard did do for Jewelcrafting just a week ago was introduce mass prospecting, which weirdly wasn't in the game until then. However, I don't think this is going to change much. It may be that on your server you find a little niche and you can make some gold with shuffling, so you buy up a load of monolite ore, you mass prospect it and you sell off the gems. That is always an option with Jewelcrafting, but at least on my servers it hasn't been producing any serious profit because the gems haven't been selling. So potentially with the new raid coming out and with the new mass prospecting, you could get some gold from doing a Jewelcrafting shuffle, but for me, I'm going to put it at my last because it's really not worth it on my servers. And also it has no real old world capabilities. A lot of the professions, even if they're not good for BFA stuff, they have really good old world stuff you can craft for transmog or cosmetic stuff. But Jewelcrafting doesn't even really have that. So for me, it's the worst profession right now. So next up, we have ourselves engineering. Now, I really enjoyed engineering in Legion and I made lots of gold with it. If you saw my gold cap challenges, it was always very successful. Unfortunately, in BFA, they didn't add anything that cool that was new to engineering, which really sells. So the devices are usually the things that sell with engineering. Everything else is just a bit irrelevant. And as you can see, the devices are not making much gold. Now, the devices that sell are the unstable temporal time shifter. That sells quite well. And the other one is the electroshock mount motivator. Those are the two BFA devices which sell the best. So if you have engineering, check the profits of these two. And if they have profit on your server, then engineering probably would be quite good for you on your server. But if the profits of these aren't good, then it's unlikely you're going to be making much gold. Now, the only other thing really is go to Legion engineering. And it's a bit annoying because in Legion I sold quite a lot of the failure detection pylons, but those don't work in BFA dungeons, and so their sale rate is gone. As you can see, 0.03, really low. But the auto hammers still sell pretty good. So again, if the auto hammers make a fairly good profit on your server, then engineering might be good. But again, not really great. There's nothing too cool with engineering. They have a couple of sinister pieces which sell a bit, a couple of weapons, but nothing great. For me, engineering is the second worst, but do pay attention to your server because it could turn out that engineering is fairly good if those three devices that I talked about actually sell for a profit on your server. So just have a look, but for me, engineering, not great at the moment. I'm not going to be ranking the gathering professions in this video, by the way, guys, because you can't really compare those. They're a completely different thing. If you like gathering, then get them. If you don't like it, then don't get them. I'm just comparing the kind of normal professions. Anyway, next up, in third last place, it was a bit tricky this one, but I have gone with Inscription. Now, as you know, at the start of BFA, Inscription was awesome because of the Dark Moon decks. In fact, Inscription is awesome at the start of every single expansion because of the Dark Moon deck trinkets, how good they are, and how profitable it can be to make them. And that makes Inscription awesome, and then it usually dies down as the expansion goes on, and that's definitely happened in BFA. Now, kind of like Jewelcrafting, a big indicator of how profitable Inscription is going to be on your server is the milling, mass milling of the herbs, how many pigments that can give you compared to the prices of them on your server. And that's going to make a big difference in how profitable it is. On my server, it's really not profitable at the moment, the whole milling thing. And that makes things such as the tomes really not very profitable. Maybe it's because there's less people playing the game. And again, we'll probably see a bump in the tomes when the new raid comes out. I also don't have rank 3 of the tomes, which would make a small difference, but still wouldn't make a profit. And again, it's up to you guys to check on your servers for all of that. But basically for me, Inscription is not worth it because the tomes don't make a profit, the milling isn't profitable, and the contracts usually aren't that profitable. Though again, the turtles and the champions, which are always the two best-selling contracts, actually doing okay at the moment. I don't know why, because if you look at the normal market value, it's 200 gold, and right now it's 3,000 gold, so it's potential that these contracts are required for a Warfront turn-in or for a world quest, and that's why the price of them is so much higher than their market value. But trust me guys, usually they are not at this price, and I'm not making any profits from the contracts. To be honest with you guys, Inscription would be in last place on my server if it wasn't for their old world stuff, and in particular their glyphs. So glyphs have been a forgotten thing in WoW for a long time. I know a lot of players who don't even know they exist anymore and who never use them. Glyphs used to be a big thing and they're just not anymore. However, not many people craft glyphs, and it's usually quite good to get in the glyph market on your server because you can make big profits from the glyphs. Now obviously they take a while to sell, but some of them actually sell okay. You know, like 0.09 is really good for like a cosmetic, 0.12, 0.11, really good. Look, I'm making 3,000 gold from the, I think this is the DK one. This is really good selling. I sell loads of these. It's actually a warlock, not a DK. But 0.11 means it's going to sell pretty quick, and for that much profit is actually really good. So this is the reason Inscription is only in third last place, because of the glyph market. And I know some people who can dominate the glyph markets on their dead servers, and each glyph makes like 10k profit. And if that's your server, if you're on a really low pop server, Inscription could be amazing for you. So again, check out your server, and it's definitely worth having a character with Inscription. Just number one, to do the milling in case it's profitable sometime. But number two, to make use of the different glyphs, because if you can have glyphs that are just constantly selling, it's just a really good bit of kind of passively getting up your gold total, because glyphs always sell, not too quick, but pretty regularly. And even the ones that are cheap, the ones that aren't from Legion, some of them still sell for a nice amount. Glyph of the Cheetah for the Druids, 0.3 sale rate, huge. Sells very quickly and makes a really nice profit. So, and remember guys, I'm on a really high pop server, so on your low pop servers the profit's going to be even better. So this is why this was a tough one for Inscription. I didn't really know where to put it, but I've put it in a third last place, because even though the glyphs are really good, the BFA stuff in my opinion just isn't selling very well, and that's why Inscription is in this position. So next up, in 5th position overall, again this was a tricky one to place, but I've gone for Alchemy. Now I actually have all rank 3s for everything in Alchemy. I've got a lot of Alchemy stuff because it's on my main character, and even after all of that, and the fact that I'm on one of the highest raiding servers in the EU, this raiding server that Method are on and all of that, you'd think maybe there's a lot of raiders wanting to get a lot of potions. Even I still don't make any real gold from the Alchemy. I mean, look at this, maybe sort of 50 gold profit per flask. I mean, I guess you can sell them in stacks of 20 and you're going to make 1,000 gold profit, which is okay, but then again you might as well just make something else with a different profession. And same for the flasks. I've got all the rank 3 flasks, and sometimes some of them make a bit of profit. I mean, 170 gold is actually pretty good for the intellect flask. And again, you can sell those in stacks of kind of 10, and you're making, what, 2k gold per stack, which is fairly good, but again, not amazing, unfortunately. I don't know, I haven't really been that keen on Alchemy this expansion. And I know that when the raid comes out, obviously there's going to be way more people wanting the flasks, and probably I'll start making more of a profit. And if that happens, I can eat my words, and alchemy could be the best profession rather than only the 5th best. But at the moment, it's really not doing good. And even when the raid comes out, all of the professions are going to go up. So I don't think its positioning will change that much. The other problem with alchemy is there's not that good old world stuff that you can do. Obviously, you can do the transmutations, which is always fairly nice. And if you have alchemy on a few characters, you can get the transmute master trait and just run the living steel transmutes every day and hope for a proc of multiple living steels. And that can make you an extra few thousand gold a day per character if you're lucky. So do look into becoming a transmute master and getting the living steel transmutation. But really, the old world stuff isn't great for alchemy either, and if the alchemy new world stuff isn't doing great, then it's not going to be a good time. Hopefully with the new raid, like I say, it will all change, but who really knows, and right now it's not amazing. The only thing that would put alchemy high is if you have the Vial of the Sands, which I do have on my other alchemist, but not on my main server, unfortunately, so I haven't been crafting many Vial of the Sands, and that means I'm not really including that. Also, most people don't have Vial of the Sands, it's very hard to get. If you do get that, then it makes alchemy a lot better because it gives you a steady, profitable mount to craft that's an old world thing, and it can make you a steady kind of 10k every couple of days or every week or something. So the mount is really good, but not many people have it, and alchemy's not great because of that. So next up in tied position for 2nd place, so coming in 4th, 3rd and 2nd, are all of the gear crafting professions, tailoring, leatherworking and blacksmithing. It's quite hard to define which is the best out of those 3. It kind of depends on what you like to do. I'd say blacksmithing probably has slightly better transmog options from the old world, but stuff like leatherworking and tailoring are really good for creating expulsum through crafting the bracers and scrapping them. So it depends what you want to do, but they all come pretty good. And the reason they're doing fairly good is people are buying a lot of the gear for their ults. The 340 gear does sell. I only have rank 1 of these. Actually, I do have the rank 2s and rank 3s. I went and bought them, but then I couldn't learn them because I'm not level 111 yet. So I think I'm just going to level this guy up a level and then learn the rank 2s and 3s because that's going to make these even more profitable. But all of the 340 stuff is profitable. You can craft it. You can craft multiple of them because you'll get different stats, and you can price them differently on the auction house. People wanting specific stats will go and buy them for their ults. And yeah, they're fairly good. Again, with all of the item levels increasing when the raid comes out and the new PvP season and all that, maybe things will change and people will be less interested in buying this gear. But for now, at least, it's doing really, really well. And that's why I'm putting all of these, blacksmithing, tailoring, leatherworking, in joint 2nd place. Like I say, they're actually really, really crucial for making expulsum, so you kind of need one of these professions if you're going to be big into your profession doing in BFA, because you need a steady supply of expulsum, and that's going to be from one of these guys because you're going to want to craft your bracers and then scrap them, and once every 6 times or whatever you're going to get a bit of expulsum. So it's also important for that reason. And they also have the random things, the battle flags. I haven't really seen those selling that good, to be honest, but they're not great. But the old world transmog stuff really is great. Especially for blacksmithing, I find a lot of that stuff's quite cool and sells really good, like the Titan steel stuff, but in fact loads of it sells good. Cloth maybe not so much, but cloth do have the shirts and cloth have the bags, so that kind of makes up for it. So I think tailoring is in a good spot because of that, making the different ebon weaves, and then you can create all the cool different hats and stuff, and the sale rates aren't terrible for some of the items. 0.09 for the Azure Silk Vest, for example, so some of these things do sell fairly well. 0.12 for the Black Mage Weave leggings. I think that's the Slut Mog, in fact. I'm not sure, though. Anyway, all of these professions have great transmogs, old world stuff that you can craft, put on the auction house. They also have great 340 gear, which you can craft, put on the auction house. And I think they're just a steady way to make gold, as well as a steady way to get expulsum. And that's why I think they're coming in 4th, 3rd and 2nd position. They could be lower after the raid comes out. Stuff like Inscription and Alchemy could overtake it. Maybe even Jewelcrafting, but I doubt it. But I definitely think Inscription and Alchemy could overtake it with the new raid, but I'm not certain. And if you're just looking for a steady gold maker, then go for one of these, because you're not going to be let down. And last up, in first place, I have, of course, Enchanting. Again, this is very tricky. Usually I put Enchanting at the top of my profession list. It's always my favourite profession. And it hasn't been as good as I hoped it would, but neither have any of the professions really in BFA. And it still does make a steady bit of gold. And it's a great way of making gold because it has old world stuff, it has very good selling new world stuff, and it has something extra, which is the disenchanting feature. And we put all those three together, I think it makes enchanting the best all-round profession, particularly for a main character. You should always have it on your main because you can disenchant so much stuff. And the crystals have actually held their value quite well, so you can actually make some gold from disenchanting, which is good. But yes, more so than the other professions, I've seen some of these really hold their value even before the raid. And I imagine when the raid comes out, all of the enchants are going to be making more of a profit, particularly the weapons. There'll be lots of new weapons, people wanting. They'll be making a nice profit. In fact, there's usually weapons that do make profit. They're not doing very well right now on my server, but usually some of them do make a profit. The ring enchants almost always make a profit and sell pretty good. You can sell a few of those a day for like 500 gold profit each, which is always nice. And it's just, again, a steady way to make gold because it does provide you with the very quick selling new world enchants, but it also provides you with the old world enchants, which surprisingly do sell. Especially if you have TSM, you can look and see which old enchants sell, because some of them really don't sell, but some of them are used for leveling, are used for like twinks and stuff. I don't really know what they're used for, to be honest, but people actually buy the random old enchants that give you like plus 15 agility to your gloves or something random like that. And it actually sells. 0.09 sale rate is really good. And a lot of these can be put up on the auction house, and just over time they'll sell, and it just gets you a few thousand gold each time. It's a really good bit of kind of passive gold making again. And then something even better is the Tome of Illusions. Now, these haven't been selling quite as good as they were in Legion and when they first came out, so everyone was very excited. Haven't been as good, but still they have been selling pretty well. They've kept their sale rate fairly good, and they always make a profit. Even on my very high pop server, they almost all make a few thousand gold profit. You can just whack them up on the auction house, leave them, and it's just steady gold again. And through this mixture of Tome of Illusions, of random old enchants, of new enchants of course, and then through the disenchanting feature, disenchanting random purples that you find whilst playing on your main, those four things combined I think will make enchanting the best profession right now. Again, it was very close with some of the others, and things could all change with the new raid. It depends what starts selling really good, but at the moment I'm going to put enchanting first. But what do you guys think? I'm sure you will all disagree with me, and that is fine. Let me know your comments in the comment section below. Thanks for watching, and until next time, see ya.